Hello guys, my name is Amit Sani and I welcome you to daily editorial analysis videos. These videos they come in the morning both in Hindi and English, and the PIV videos they come in evening both in Hindi and English. And today is Monday. Start with the new energy, 21st of January. And you see, this is the quote for today. Don't let yesterday take up too much of your today. You see, our present depends on our past, and if we are taking something as a burden from the past, if we are tensed about something, so it is certainly going to affect our performance today, and our performance today is certainly going to affect our future. So these all things are interrelated, so it's a practical idea here. Don't take these burdens of the past today, and don't take these things to future, otherwise future would not be beautiful. So it's like a daily tuning, as we tune the guitar before we play it. So we have to tune our everyday start, okay, so that your present is perfect, so that your future would be perfect. Next, the vocabulary, these words, find them in the dictionary and try them in sentences. Next, articles. You see, many articles are there today, and today is Monday, so a lot of articles, but most of these articles they are criticizing the government, so I can't do anything about that. But you see, they are also giving a lot of facts and data regarding that, so we would discuss according to the exam point of view. Next, steel frame or steel cage. Bureaucracy is considered as the steel pillar of our democracy. You see, these politicians and legislators, they make drafts of these laws and all, but they don't know much. Actually, our system, our laws and their formation and their execution, everything is dependent on the system of the bureaucracy, and these bureaucrats are actually running this nation. And that's why it is so much a prestigious career path that lakhs of students, they spend their very important years of life in preparing about this civil service examination. And the recent case of Shah Faisal, who was first ranker from Kashmir in 2010, and it was an exceptional case in Kashmir at that time. And you see, when this person resigns today, that raises a lot of questions on the working of the system, and what are the changes of perception today, that we have been looking at this condition, that some of the aspirants, they leave this path after getting selected and they choose something else and they pursue some other ideals. This time Shah Faisal saying that he will be taking the option of politics, because according to his understanding, politics really wields the power, and they are the ultimate authority, and these bureaucrats, they are actually puppets of these politicians only. So that's why he is feeling sorry about the people of Kashmir, that he could not do anything much about the Kashmir's situation, and the perils of these people, they are continuing, and that's why he is resigning. So when the topper resigns, that raises a lot of questions. He was the first Kashmiri to do so, and that becomes much more important and raises bigger questions. Anguish over the pain Kashmir has experienced over the recent past. You see, all of us, we are preparing for this examination, and it's so typical of our Indian society that if something is giving you this much prestige at this age, and if that is giving you recognition, name, fame, everything, and you reach up to those responsible posts, and you are taken as a reformer, a society's changer, and you remain within a system, so that's why it becomes very condition where authority is with you, okay, and you wield the power, and out of that power and out of your creativity, you bring changes in the society. So that's the idea, and that's a great attraction that actually attracts lakhs of youths. So here you see respect through merit, because they toil so hard, and they give 5, 6, 7 years sometimes of their lives, and they acquire this merit, they develop this much of knowledge and these qualities of patience, being energetic, being motivating and all. So they deserve this respect, okay, and way more than politicians. But you see, when somebody after getting selected, if he feels that he does not wield any power actually, and actual power is with the politicians, then that becomes a problem. the history is there in the colonial times, where it started as ICS, Indian Civil Services, and it was very much machinery of the Britishers to control India's condition, the revenue conditions and law and order situation. So when this law and order situation was there, then they were having a lot of power. But after that, the separation became, and after independence, these bureaucracies and the bureaucrats, they became society's changers. And the question of to do something big, what is that something where you need authority to change the ground level realities and the systemic performance of the country, so that you change. So that's why these were motivated people actually, and in starting they urged to seek the status in the society, and that is typical of India society. They don't want to take much of the risk. If something is risky, they don't want to go in that side. They will always go where some assurity is there, and when assurity comes with prestige, then nothing is better than that. So that's why since the start, when the students they are in schools and events are organized, and the big shots personalities, mainly the politicians and these bureaucrats, collectors, they come in their functions. So it's a dream that starts in their mind at that time, and that is getting manifestation when they are selected. So that's a issue. And district collector was seen as a meritorious monarch. It was there before the independence, and it remains after the independence also. But now the perceptions are changing. You see how IAS acquired a nation building tinge in its earlier colonial rule. First, before independence, it was the colonial rule and the main responsibility of the law and order and the revenue collection. And after that, the nation building aspect that came after independence. Okay, that we have discussed. From local to the national level, the IAS was seen as providing the firm and stable frame that India needed to overcome what were often described as fissiparous tendencies in society. So to change these things in a systematic manner, these people were known. Okay. Now, a learned decision maker, the civil servant, was supposed to lend objectivity to the elected politicians' agenda and wishes. They were supposed to take this idea in a systematic manner, and whatever wishes and dreams of these politicians or the elected representatives were, they were given the responsibility to make it a reality. That was the biggest task given to civil servants. Now you see, success in the IAS examination was now seen bringing the power to do something for the larger good. As I discussed, what is that something? Now, the change of perception is happening with this resignation of Shah Faisal. When this issue came, it became a shock to the civil servants. It became a shock to many learned people, and the people who respected Shah Faisal a lot, because he was the first person from Kashmir who topped this service, and it's so much a prestigious service. And now we came to know that he is not the first to mark this change. Many have changed their paths after getting selected. And why this is happening? Why this an act of renunciation for the pursuit of an ideal? Means they came here to pursue some ideal, but they don't find these ideals in this service. They find that the power is too much constrained, and to do something now belongs to exclusively to the politicians. That the problem Shah Faisal found, and somehow it is real also. Okay, so when we talk about this dream of becoming civil servant, which starts in school, when these collectors and all, they are invited as chief guests, and when the students, they look at them and they decide about this dream, and they follow it throughout their educational career, and in the end they reach at this place. And when from this chief guest culture till that stage where they find it too much constrained an idea, so it is becoming a problem. You see, our education system, it has ruined a lot of life. That's the reality, because it's not balanced, it's not productive, it's not in a way innovative, and it does not support the risk taking abilities. That's the reality of India, and that's why it's a growth without employment. Okay, now see, when out of this education system, this kind of a typical format is evolving, and out of this format, aspirations are very high. Okay, aspirations are very, very high, but the reality after they achieve something, that they see in a different context. So this becomes in a way a great kind of a disappointment. Okay, so now the writer wants to talk about this syndrome which lies with the education system and which lies with the mainly the parents, students, and the whole ecosystem of society. Okay, so there is a syndrome that not only schools, even community functions organized on religious festivals are similarly adorned, and the organizers cannot get hold of someone in service or politics at present. They go for someone retired. Means they develop this chief guest culture. They have created this thing in people's mind, students' mind, that nothing is better than that. If you get this position, that is the best position. Okay, so if somebody becomes a civil servant, that becomes the best thing according to people's mind. And this aspiration, this attraction, and this perception is actually very much dangerous. What this perception does, this that it makes all other areas, all other career paths less important. Maybe totally it takes away their charisma, their importance, and their place in the society. So if we talk about the system of science education, everyone wants to pursue science today. In most of the jobs, whether we talk about the MBA graduates or the civil servants, everywhere there are engineers, and these are science graduates, because in the last 3 decades we appreciated only science. We totally ignored areas of arts and other education fields. So that's a problem, that's a disbalance that we see in society today. And when we appreciate within this system this kind of chief guest culture, and we create this image in kids' minds, that is creating a lot of troubles, because somewhere there is a disconnect between their aspiration and what they get after they are getting selected. So systems are corrupt and systems are not working properly, and that's why India is facing a lot of problem. Politics has problems, and this distribution of power is also totally disbalanced. It more lies with politicians, it less lies with bureaucrats. And here we develop this culture that bureaucrats are the most prestigious people. And why this happens, you see, the actual reason is because most of the people belongs to middle class society, and in this middle class society, bureaucracy, getting selected in the civil service examination and coming into bureaucracy is the biggest leap someone can take from their middle class life to that particular important place. So that's why this dream becomes so huge, and out of this coaching culture and all these things, they inflate this idea and inflate this aspiration. Okay, so realities are different and we are living in kind of a myth. So civil services remain a big draw for most of the students in all the fields, and the coaching industries are a problem. Only after failing, students look towards other avenues. That is seen, commonly it is seen, and in every interview session at UPSC, this thing is seen very, very common, that students, they only leave the preparation for the civil service after they have exhausted all their options. So that's the thing. So now the writer says that we need to rethink over this situation, because this whole ecosystem is not working and it is becoming dangerous and dangerous day by day. Aspirations are becoming larger and larger, and the ideals which they want to follow, it's a matter of ideals that they want to follow, they are not becoming true. And in the end, when after achieving this particular aim, they feel that the power is constrained in a way, and actual productivity which they have, that cannot do much in the society, that cannot bring big changes in the society, then it becomes a disappointment, and it shows the lack in our whole ecosystem of education, careers, and system. Okay, so it talks about that, and these were the things. Now see, next article talks about this data fabrication, falsification, and data manipulation, and it is by the government. So that's why it's a very much a criticizing article. It takes the case of Chunni Devi, who is actually going through a specific condition where she's not getting widow pension. Her husband died 1 year back, and she's not even able to earn 120 rupees a day because the work is not available for her all the time, and the issues of dignified employment, non-payment of adequate wages, and insufficient food, these all are going on, and her family is in total peril and a condition of starvation. You see, these people, they are always working, always in a demand of working, and in any condition, whether it's cold, whether it's hot, any time they are working. So are they demanding too much? That's this article talking about. And it takes the case of Jharkhand, where 74 reported starvation deaths happened, but only 18 appeared in the government's report, and the language was very much insensitive language. And they say that if implemented the proper way, Narega, this scheme can go a long way in improving the lives would have improved. And it was seen also that this program actually changed the whole scenario in the rural areas, where it supported a lot of lives, and a lot of lives were saved because of this employment, because it was the guaranteed employment, and the provisions were within 15 days person should be employed if he demands the work. Otherwise the unemployment allowance would be given. Okay, so that's a mandatory condition under this act, and these provisions were added in this act because these problems were seen in the previous programs, and they felt that if these things are not added in the act, then it's of no use. The same issues will keep going on. And now the alarming indifference we have seen. You see, today it is the biggest claim by the center that highest ever allocation of 68,084 crore rupees has been done for Narega. But you see in this article, writer says that minimum allocation should be 85,000 crore rupees if minimum levels of employment are given. And here it was not even 61, 6,000 crore rupees are additional grants which are given in the last month only. So 61, if they are saying that these are the highest ever, and still these things are not sufficient, then it's a problem. And the bigger problem is that whatever money is allocated, this 61,000 crore rupees, that is also not reaching on time to these laborers, which are unskilled laborers mainly. You see, by these statistics which they have presented, they are actually covering up the realities by curating information that the writer is alleging here. He is saying that suppressing information at the source, that's the common problem with Narega. Deliberately manipulating and obfuscating data to perpetrate the falsehood. You see, so dire these allegations are, and against the government, because some things are open, some things are apparent here. Narega is a demand driven program. 15 days is a condition, as I told you, and unemployment allowance is the main issue. Now the writer is saying that just to cover this unemployment allowance, because they don't want to give this allowance, they are manipulating with this data. They are saying that 90% of the payments are done on time. But even the government's report, they show that they are doing an average 50 days delay in the payments. 50 days delay in the payment on an average. And here they are claiming that 90% payments are done on time. So that's totally a contrasting information, where 15 days is the condition, and according to this 90% are done according to the statistics. So that's a trouble. And UA report is generated. You see, unemployment allowances reports that is generated, funds are allocated, but rarely implemented. So where this money is going, fund crunches are always shown by the states, but center is saying that there is no trouble of the funds. And you see the issue of MIS, Management Information System. You see, all the informations, they go through this Management Information System, that is a digital platform created for these the implementation of these programs and their monitoring. So through this MIS, the data which goes, that's manipulated data, that's not correct. Okay, the actual condition and the actual data is present in the Panchayati records, but that is not of importance, because that data which is important, that is going through this MIS platform, and that is reaching up to the central level, and there they are giving all these statistics based on MIS data. Now this information suppression at the source, that when actual conditions are different, actual data statistics are different, and the data that you are putting into MIS, that is different. So that is suppression of information at the source. Okay, and data on the MIS are being treated as a gospel truth. The data which is produced by the MIS, it is shown in the claims, advertisements, and the rhetorics made by politicians. They are saying that everything is going fine because they are quoting this MIS data, and that is a flawed one. So under registered demand is the biggest issue here. Under registered demand, and it is totally violating the law itself, where provisions are there, you see. And aggregate data at the national level are only presented for the employment generated. Means these data of MIS, they are shown as employment generators, and according to this data they are saying that we have given crores of employment under the NREGA scheme, but actual reality is totally different, and that's the violation of extent of under provision of work that is given under this NREGA Act. So it's an open violation of the Act only, according to the writer. Key findings, you see, employment generated was about 33% lower than the registered work demand. That's the ground reality. And you see, these transactions are available for whatever payments they have been done for these laborers and all. So these transaction data are available. So according to that the writer is saying that the data of these transactions and the claims by the government, these are different. And as I told you, minimum is required, that is 85,000 crores, but highest ever allocation is till date 61,084 crore rupees. So here is the great difference. And apart from that, 16 states, they are showing continued lack of funds, even though center is saying that we are doing highest ever allocation, and states are saying that we are having fund crunches. That's again the violation of the Act, because allocation does not honor the work demand. So that's why he is saying that these claims, these allocation which is being done, these are dubious claims, these are not right. And the case of corroboration, means the proof is needed for these claims, because they are contrary to the central government's own data. Okay, and the delay is more than 50 days on an average, and mandate is to pay wages within 15 days. So there is a clear difference of 35 days even by the government's data. So that's a problematic thing. And you see, the funding from the center is called stage 2 delays, or the stage 2 funding, but these are stage 2 delays. The 35 days delay is the stage 2 delays. Stage 1 is at the local level, from the state level and the local level, and stage 2 is by the center. So now you see, Supreme Court, when one PIL was filed, even the Supreme Court said that center government cannot seem to shy away from its responsibilities. State governments and union territories administration may be at fault. They may be at fault. They are facing a lot of issues, but center cannot be absolved for its duty. It's the duty of center mainly. So the stage 2 funding should be released immediately. That was the verdict in May 18, 2018. So that's why the writers say it's a clear contempt of court also, because the direction came from Supreme Court in the month of May, and it is after 7 months. Now such falsification and manipulation of information by the government, it is quoted with a particular famous quote that it's all falsified statistics. Okay, so it's not important to us, but the main thing is that ground realities are apparent, they are visible, and governments claim they are different. So that's why we cannot ignore these facts, and the facts which are associated with the poor population, the people who are working on the ground. Okay, and their condition is totally visible. So you cannot say that we are being negative here, or we are criticizing government a lot. That's not a reality. It is about the issue of their lives. Okay, so government is busy falsifying realities, and these Chunni Devi like people, poor people, they are entangled in the web of technicalities and the din of dry numbers. So it's a game of numbers only, and in reality these things are not changing on the ground. Now our next article is regarding the total environmental and ecosystem issues of India. This is not the future we want. Niti Aayog's strategy for 2022. Now all targets are mainly for this year 2022. Okay, and the elections are due in 19, but you see their claims are for 2022 is replete with environmental and livelihood related contradictions. So contradictions are there. Again, this article criticizing government. Strategy for New India at 75. They are saying that strategy has made many progressive objectives. So objectives are made. Objectives are always there with all the schemes. These are not achievements, these are objectives. So these are good, and they are according to the SDG goals, which are going to complete in 2030. And all the buzzwords like inclusion, sustainability, participation, and gender equality, these are there. Now the questions remain: is there a consistent and well thought out strategy to meet the objective? Are you focusing these objectives and the right strategies? And are you addressing those issues which can create hindrances in achieving these objectives? Are you doing that? And next, are there any hidden motivation behind these strategies? Because the writer is saying there is a serious doubt that we would achieve all the targets under this India at 75 strategy. Major focus is there on the renewable energy and the organic farming, you see, and the models which are promoted, which are based on mainly zero budget schemes and all. So that's okay, that's fine, but are these feasible all over the country? The way you are promoting one scheme in all the country, which is divided in many climatic regions, is this feasible? And a chapter is there regarding sustainable environment, where they talked about air pollution, solid waste management, and water pollution and forestry. That's okay, and these are tall claims, but many missing issues are there. What are these missing issues? You see, land degradation issue does not find any place in this report, and many are missing, such as urgent need to conserve a range of non-forest ecosystem. That's the biggest highlight, that we are not focusing the non-forest ecosystem. We have a forest department and we have all the strategies, all forest reports regarding forest covers, but we don't care about the non-forest ecosystem, which is equally important. The grassland ecosystem, marine ecosystem, the lakeside ecosystem, coastal ecosystem, wetlands and all. These are extremely important areas, productive areas, and climate and environment balancing factors, but we are not addressing these, and there is no strategy regarding them. And there is no strategy regarding the management of toxic chemicals, which are creating havoc and still not core to the mindset of our planners. This line is said by writer because he is saying that there is absence of an integrated, comprehensive view, and by not addressing these core issues, your objectives are not going to be fulfilled. So that's why it looks like that this is still not core to the mindset of our planners. They are not serious about it. Total absence of understanding he sees here, and he says the current form and goal of economic growth is inherently unsustainable, and it is the condition there with other countries also, and India is going on the same path. So in this way, and the typical conditions of India, the poor population, unhygienic conditions, and the balance in the regions and all, and dependency on monsoons and all, in this typical country, these unsustainable things, they are not going to give you any kind of results, and we are on a decline actually. So this strategy of India at 75 would be worse than India at 50. The writer is alleging this. Okay. Things are likely only worse now, because in 2008 only, the CII, Confederation of Indian Industry, they indicated that we are using twice of what is natural resource could sustain in 1 year. We are using twice that amount, and actually we are putting our future generations in ultimate danger. How they would survive? Because it is the data of 2008, and in 2008 only we were using twice the amount of these resources, and now it is after 10 years, a lot of progress has been done and a lot of issues are going on. That means the situation is worse now, way worse than 2008. So no country in the world has been able to do this, but India is a typical nation, and here these troubles are going to create so much of trouble, because it is totally a packed nation, packed with people and poor people, mired with diseases, den of disease like diabetes, cancer and all. So all these things are related to these ecosystem issues. Okay, so how we are going to survive? So these are alarming features. The issue of mining, they are not targeting the issues of which are associated issues with mining. These are the when dangers are being posed to the indigenous communities, and dangers are there for the species which are there in the forest, and the fringe areas and the protected areas. So there is no mention regarding that, and they have doubled the target for mining, and mainly the open cast type mining. That is the main culprit here. You see, doubling the mining is Niti Aayog's strategy, but they are not addressing the related environmental issues. So how it is going to be sustainable? Next issue is of tourism, which always comes with the eco tag, ecotourism, but they are not addressing the issues of ecotourism. They are not being sustainable in the policies, because tourism they want to promote, they want to double the tourists visits in all the hill stations and all these important areas which are environmentally very sensitive, but they are not focusing on the issues which are there, which are creating imbalance, which are creating a kind of ecosystem degradation, forest degradation, and submerging of areas under these dams and all. If river linking projects are there, mega river valley projects are there, then alongside that a lot of harms are being done to the forest areas and the non-forest ecosystems. So we are not addressing those issues. So that's the issue. Okay, we have seen recently in the case of K.N. Betwaling, where the Panna Tiger Reserve that was submerged. So these kind of issues we are not targeting. Okay, so we are only focusing on the economic growth, but here we are losing a lot. And you see why we are talking about this, why this is important, because without addressing environment and the ecosystem issues, we cannot do any kind of economic growth for a longer period of time, and we will have to face very dangerous consequences, and then we won't be able to cope with those things, and our all economic growth would be depleted at that time. So that's why we are seeing the concerns here. There is no mention of these seed policies and all, dry land farming and all. They are saying that phase out should be there for the old varieties, and hybrid and improved seeds should be adopted, but they don't see the bioethical issues and the issues of sustainable agriculture. Okay, they are totally focusing on the single window clearances of the infrastructure projects and other real estate and other commercial issues. They are giving immediately the single window clearances, and they are not even caring about the local communities which are given rights under the Forest Right Act. So this is total violation of the laws and open violation of the laws. You see, the writer says any kind of decent ecological assessment needs 1 year time to holistically analyze the situation of that area, but in this particular ruling, in this strategy, 180 days limit is decided, and that's total open violation of the issue of the environmental conservation. So with policies also and with your rulings also, you are doing a greater harm. So that's the trouble, and that's why he says that it would be worse than the India at 50. So is this the future we want? That we need to decide, that we need to focus on. Next, the missing women. This is again giving a lot of data. You see, India Index baseline report by Niti Aayog. It has given us that 64 people per 1,000 persons appear to be unemployed in working age group of 15 to 59. And according to the ILO report, youth are 3 times as likely as adults to be unemployed. So more danger is lying with the youth. And in these data also, ILO estimates say that 27.5% people in India, and it includes male, female and youth, all groups, they are excluded from what? Educational sector, employment sector and the training sector, because they are not participant to these sectors. So how we are going to do any kind of good progress if 27.5% remain out of this inclusion in the education, employment and training, and in which 8% are males and around 50% are women? Means half of the women, they are out of education, they are out of employment and they are out of training, and the major share is taken by the housewives. If we look at the age groups, 15 to 19 age group, for the girls, they are out of these education, employment and training around 23%. 20 to 24 is around 56.13%, and the main age group of 25 to 29, where they are raising their kids and they are totally becoming housewives, most of the women, 64% are out of this inclusion in this education, employment training. So that's a horrible situation. Means 64% of women are not taking part in these activities, and these are the nation building measures. So how we can expect gender parity and all? Okay, so that's the thing. Now if the affirmative action would not follow, then certainly our youth who are becoming the adults of tomorrow, they will be in trouble, and efficacy of these schemes would be a matter of debate. Whatever claims we are making that we are giving so much of employment and all these schemes who are about to raise the level of women in India, the Sukanya Samriddhi Yojana, Beti Bachao Beti Padhao, or the women entrepreneurship schemes and all, so their impact would be null. Okay. Next, the facts today. Aadhaar is now will be taken as passport to Nepal and Bhutan. Okay. It is now allowed for under 15 age group and the 65 plus age group. Okay. Aadhaar, because first they needed to produce passport or photo IDs. Now photo IDs and all, they can be replaced by Aadhaar only. Okay, you know, it's already a fact that we don't need visas to visit Nepal and Bhutan. We don't need visas. Okay, we only need passport and these photo IDs. Now Aadhaar can be given there and we will be getting entry. Next issue related with the environmental condition again, that fire breaks out at Bengalore's Warthar Lake. You see, the same phenomena happened with the Belandur Lake in 2017, where the lake caught fire, and again the Warthar Lake is catching fire, and it is because the trapped gases and the harmful pollutants and very dangerous chemicals which are there present in this lake. So whoever is making claims that climate change is a hoax and pollution and all, these are not affecting the ecosystem and all, these are the clear evidences when water is catching fire. Okay, so it's a grave concern, and the crowded city like Bangalore, which is the Silicon City of India, these are the issues with the lakes, because so many lakes were there in Bangalore in 1960s. There were more than 200-300 lakes, and today they are around 50 lakes and they all are polluted. Next information is from Realtel. Realtel is a central PSU under Ministry of Railways. Okay, and it is involved with the upgradation of railway stations in the matters of Wi-Fi networks and the digital hubs. It is creating all that, and it is creating it with the fastest speed. So now it has become not only the largest PSU, but also the fastest public Wi-Fi network giving PSU. Okay, so Realtel, you remember this, it's a PSU under Ministry of Railways. Okay, it's not a private company or something like that, and not a statutory body, it's a PSU. Next information is regarding the lymphatic filariasis. It is also called elephantiasis. You see, there are lymph nodes in our body. Okay, we have a blood circulation system, and in between there is heart to pump the blood in all the vessels, but lymphatic system is also present there alongside these blood vessels, and that does not have any kind of heart or something as a pumping machine. And there are lymph nodes who actually capture these infections via virus, bacteria and all, or any kind of other worms and all. So in this disease, these lymphatic glands, they are impacted, and the fluid is accumulated around these lymphatic glands and these lymphatic system. So it's a disease of lymphatic system. So the main cause are the round worms. Okay, these are not bacteria, these are not viruses, or these are not protozoas, these are worms. Okay, and because of some mosquito biting or any other blood sucking creature, they can be brought to any person's blood. So there they create this lymphatic filariasis disease. It is also called elephantiasis because the accumulation of fluid. You can see their legs. It can be legs, it can be hands, it can be mouth or something like that, wherever these lymph glands are present. Okay. Next information, find these places in this map, and all are important places, and these MCQs, try them, and mains practice questions. And this is the Facebook ID of mine, where you will find the Facebook group, Amit Sani Group for IAS Preparation, and keep walking. That's whole idea. Today's lesson was long because too much data was present, so many articles we cannot ignore because these are core issues, and one was related with your preparation. Thanks a lot.